This is Chris Rickenbaugh with the Leadway Wealth Builders Podcast, episode 149. And today I'm going to be talking about how I'm hitting the reset button here in 2025 in my real estate business. So if you haven't listened to this episode or this podcast before, this is the Leadway Wealth Builders Podcast, and I am documenting my journey in real estate and business and also talking a little bit about travel hacking and personal finance. You can find me everywhere on Instagram and TikTok at chris.rickenbaugh. That's chris.REICHENBACH. And you can find this podcast on Spotify, Apple, YouTube, and Podbean. So if you like this podcast, go ahead and share it, like, subscribe it, because that's the only way it grows if you guys share it and like it and give feedback on what you want to learn more about. So this is going to be a little bit more about me today, how I'm hitting the reset button. It won't be a super long podcast at all. So I just wanted to talk about a little bit about where I'm at right now, and I'm going to be a little bit broad about that. But it's been really, really tough working out of a bad partnership and really just figuring out the way to go from here. So this bad advice and this bad partnership kind of led me to buying some mediocre deals, and to the point to where, we're going to be able to sell them and we're going to be able to cash out the investors. And how do we keep moving through these projects, even though we've had our duplex, go through a really, really bad hit? We're projecting, I let the agent and the partner run the numbers on the deal and basically let them take care of the project as I took care of the numbers. And we were projecting, we ended up selling for $90,000 less than what we thought, and we're over budget about, I would say, close to $80,000. So with this hit and with this trust, ending the partnership and really just trying to figure out where to go from here, as this has been a cash-sucking monster for the last probably 6 to 8 months, along with another bad flip that I had. So, the ones I have now, they're in the positive. They're going to be fine. And it's figuring out where to go from here. Because cash strapped, the number one goal is to be able to cash out all the investors. And that's what I've done successfully on every deal that I've had, no matter what. So my investors are getting paid before I make a dime. And, just to say, within this whole last year, I've learned so much. And it was through this partnership that really turned everything around in my mind, because it showed me how people are doing this wrong. How this person, is continuing to try and invest, but they're just digging themselves a deeper hole, robbing Peter to pay Paul. So going through this experience, it really opened my eyes to how to make the deal safer. And I always went in with the goal of my investors are going to be cashed out with their interest no matter what. I'm going to protect the investors. That's why I have to have it at this price. So this partner was just kind of telling me off of the best case scenario. And, I'm new, so I don't quite know. And now that, hey, in the mastermind, I'm running the numbers a lot differently. I'm able to see, that is the completely wrong way to be doing this. So within this next 6 months here to finish out the year, the number one goal, and a lot of this is going to happen within the next 2 to 3 months. So make sure you're tuning into the podcast, because I'm going to be giving the breakdown of kind of what's going on in the business and how I'm doing this. So the goal number one, as I mentioned, is cashing out the investors on every single deal. I'm not buying the deal unless I know off the worst case scenario that my investor is going to get paid out with their interest. So going through this next 3 months, it's figuring out how, this is going to be a reset for me, and we're not going to be owing any money to anybody based off the deals we've had, because all these deals are going to pay off our investors. Nobody's going to owe anything. We're not going to go over limits or over budgets. Everybody's going to be set and paid out their interest. So we're not going to be able to, or we're not going to, that's the wrong word. We're not going to owe anybody any money, which is going to be good, because that's going to invite them, or not invite them, but it's going to be better that they're going to want to keep reinvesting the money, knowing that I'm keeping their money safe, even going through this really bad experience with this partner. So going forward, running the deals a lot, just being so much pickier with the deals that I'm doing. I'm not just flipping a house to flip a house to make no money and pay an investor. I'm doing it to be able to make a profit, and a very healthy profit. So if anything's coming in a little bit slim, I'm going to be able to wholesale that out. So I'm focusing on wholesaling rather than holding a bunch of flips as I'm doing right now, because at the time we're holding 6 active houses, and 5 of those are currently under renovation. So it's trying to clear the deck, make sure everybody's paid out, and then going forward, it's focusing on wholesaling with my investors to be able to back me up if I'm not able to wholesale that deal. So the only way I can do that is budgeting correctly through the new way. And that's looking at the best, worst, and base case scenario and running my numbers off of the worst to base case scenario rather than off the best case. Because in the best case, you're having pretty much a bidding war, and you're the best house on the block, and it's a really, really hot area, and that's just not the market we're seeing right now. So we need to be running our numbers off the worst to base case scenario, and if I'm still making a healthy profit in that space, it's definitely a great looking deal. So I don't want to be taking on anything that I'm not making 30 to 40,000 on, and I think that's really safe for the Charlotte market, having really good connections, but having the idea on wholesaling them rather than, having a ton of capital tied up, having multiple projects going on. But the main thing here is getting out of this partnership finally and being able to move forward, get these flips off the books, and then do it the correct way. And, but the good thing is all of our investors' money are protected based off how I was running the numbers. So that is the number one thing out of all of this. So just wanted to give a little bit of an update here, how I'm hitting the reset button in that way, what's going on in my business, just to be 100% authentic to what's happening. Being in a bad relationship or that bad partnership, it was taking a lot of bad advice. So you're the result of the 5 people around you. And when I kept seeing that quote pop up, and it came up again and again, and I said, well, let me think about who I'm with. Let me look at where my finances are going. And then I realized it directly reflects that person. And I said, oh no. So it took a little bit of a deeper look into it. And as I got to know them throughout the flip, I said, I do not want to become that person. So I ended it immediately, got a lot more stubborn, and just really sticking to what's right and what's going to be able to protect me and both sides. And that's pretty much what ended it, because as soon as there's no more give and I'm not giving anymore, that partnership gets a little tough to be around. So, that is one quote that's really, really stuck with me lately is, you become the 5 people you're closest to. So that's something to end this podcast on, is think about that quote, think about who you are in your life. And if those people around you are not the people you want to become, you need to be able to go change that circle, find bigger and better people that are going to be able to help guide you in life towards where you want to go, rather than pulling you down. So that's all I got for this episode 149 of the Leadway Wealth Builders podcast. Have a great 4th of July, and I'll see you on Tuesday.